appointment window. So, yeah, so I will not stream tomorrow, but I will be here Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to bring you the rest of this event. We'll be streaming the Stay at Home Story Cup next weekend as well. And then we've got ourselves the WardiTV Winter Championships to look forward to, and then Gold Series Team Championship. That is what our month of March looks like. Got a ton of Starcraft 2, basically. It's going to be a lot of fun. Excited to bring it all to you. As we have on the top left-hand side, our blue Protoss player is ShoWTimE. As in the bottom right, our red Terran is Cure. Alright, so we get this set up, we get this ready to go. Not sure what to really expect, right? We just got to see Cure playing against Geralt, and that Cure Geralt series was one which had a lot of fun mixed into it, right? I mean, you definitely look at that, and I definitely think you gotta say, like, geez, hello, that was, in a way, a little bit bonkers, really. One of those series where Cure definitely kind of had some better early games and some worse early games, and in general, you know, mid-game, I feel like it ran into the problem which I felt Dream always ran into a lot of the time. Dream always ran into this problem of he always ran into this problem of getting into like good positions in TvP, but then not being able to do much else about it, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in this late game which becomes much more complicated. Of course, Kyo is playing a very cool kind of keep the Protoss on 4 base situation, but all that Geralt needed was to kind of slow Kyo down for a few moments, and then all of a sudden he gets a 5th base, and then because nothing else is happening, you've got yourself a kind of a huge bank as Geralt, and the game goes from there into the later stages. ShoWTimE, I feel like he wouldn't mind playing that kind of game either, you know? If he can survive against Q and get to the later stages, I think ShoWTimE is very comfortable in the later game, for sure. As this first Adept attempts to shade into the Natch, Hurl is going to find itself on top of an SCV here, and the SCV is going to go down. So the first SCV already killed off. The Oracle just coming through. Command Center from Cure is on the way as well on this main base, and just going to see the couple of Marines putting some damage out onto the Adept as well. So the Adept just taking a little more damage right now. And Oracle's just continuing through. So Oracle's about to finish up in just a moment. And again, the Stargate opener, not too crazy in PvT. We expect this to turn into Phoenix eventually, right? And that's exactly what we see as 2 Adepts get in. They don't one-shot SCVs, but they'll do decent damage. Surprised we don't see the lower health SCVs being pulled back after they take the first couple shots. 1 Adept survives. Trapped in the main base, though. But you get a full scout. You get to see the 3rd CC on the way up. You get to know exactly what's up. And this Oracle knows where to strike as well, right? He knows, right, Cyclone's off to the left side. I can get in, deny this command center for a moment. I'm out of here safely. Maybe I take a little bit of hull damage. I thought he would get away with less damage taken, to be honest. But the point is still good, right? You know, he did what he needed to do here to get in, get a bit of damage done, and then just get the heck out of there once again. So well handled by ShoWTimE, and think really just picking up as much as possible with those early Adepts, the scouting information and everything really adding together. And Kyo from here with the 3 CCs already setting up is going to take a second barracks and just going to start building into that bio army. He's got a siege tank to solidify the front lines. He knows it's a Stargate as well, so he doesn't necessarily need to go overboard on defenses against something like a Blink play. You know, you don't need to have defense in the main and on the natural because there's not going to be a lot of multi-pronged aggression early. It has just been, okay, only 1 Oracle and 1 Phoenix, but even then, there's nothing really to follow this up, you know, from ShoWTimE, which would be immediately, like, aggressive. Oracle comes in, just another revelation, just again, keeping track of everything, right? Making sure you know the timings, making sure you see where the units are. All of this is just information which adds up, right? It helps you to piece together the puzzle of PvT. You get to put together the pieces, you get to figure it out, get into a nice comfortable position overall as this Oracle sits out in the center of the map, charge and +1 armor on the way in now from ShoWTimE. Extra gateways building from ShoWTimE on the left side of this main base as well. One more gateway going down also. And just going to be seeing this little Marine tank army starting to make a push forward as well, as we will see the Stasis Ward goes down on the third base as well. So gets that set up. Cyclone Marines and tanks continue to make their way up through the left-hand side now. So they're going to make their way forward as well. So yeah, moving around a little bit here, kind of honestly everything for the most part I'd say as, going as, fairly as expected. Wouldn't say anything's been too out of the ordinary just yet as our Marines continue forward, our tanks, and our Cyclone continues in. Just going to see a little lock on there. The Cyclone going to start firing, and the Adept going to get pushed away. The Marines take down a pylon. Big push from Kira, and ShoWTimE not really ready to fight this, is he? Charge isn't really done. The Phoenix count's kind of low because he didn't really go into continued Phoenix production to begin with. Now that charge is ready, the next issue is your supply block, so you can't actually get a decent amount of charge blocks in play. His attack is kind of random, right? It's not really lined up with anything. It's just tanks and Marines. In itself, it shouldn't really be all that good, but just the lack of preparation from ShoWTimE, because he's not expecting something right now, is kind of a huge deal. Some extra pylons finish up, so he is able to get a warp in. At this point, ShoWTimE just says, well, you know what? This army is already kind of done everything it's going to do, right? So I'm in no rush to fight it. As the tank's on siege, that's when he's going to pull the trigger. And that's when these Zealots are going to get a full cleanup. And that's ShoWTimE's advantage from this. He lost a lot, don't get me wrong. I think this was going to be worthwhile from Kyo no matter what. But he is at least able to clean everything up. None of this gets to go back home. So there's no tanks still in the army or for defense later in the game. And the Marine count is going to be that little bit lower. Now that stuff like Stimpack and +1 upgrades are finishing, having less bio units on the field is going to give you a better time. As ShoWTimE, it's less to worry about. It's less to fight against, right? Phoenix are just going to be coming through the left side. Nexus going down. We do have the Oracle of ShoWTimE still making its way out down to the bottom right. It's going to drop a Revelation in. Bio units going to get tagged up in that. More Zealots, Archons, and Sentries all making their way down through to the center. And to the bottom side we go. As our Bio forces are just going to set up, and as the Ghost Academy gets tagged up a little bit as well, we've got the Robo Bay and a second Robo facility coming on through. Prism loads up a few Zealots, and it's going to go out around the right-hand side. So looking for the play into the main base, right? This multi-pronged moment. I look at what's here defensively, and, one tank, a couple mines. ShoWTimE sees all of this. He can make an educated decision on what he wants to do to this. The Ghosts aren't ready just yet. He doesn't need to attack in, don't get me wrong. He's got the Colossi going to be on the way up soon, etc. But, with the Zealots going into the main base, there's absolutely potential for him to say, right, you know what do I want to do here? Do I want to try and make an attack happen? Because a lot of units have to come into this main base to defend these Zealots. These Zealots are actually going to take a pretty good fight as they come around the other side. Oh, I need to not fight the units, the structures, though. If you're going to fight, you want to fight the units, and he doesn't make a jump on this either. I think there is just enough left over here. Decent Sim City, right? Choked up areas. 7 SCVs still not bad, and you save 4 of the Zealots, so you only lose 7 Zealots for 7 SCVs, couple bio units, you force some lost mining time. This is the sort of thing that ShoWTimE, says, yes, I can afford that. I can absolutely accept the way that this plays. Let's just have the Oracle of ShoWTimE continuing back up to the top of the map, so bringing this back up top. And just going to be a scene again. A couple more Colossi coming through, +3 armor on the way out. And +1 attack, so finally getting some attack upgrades. The upgrade deficit for Q is definitely a problem. As he finishes +1 armor, he can't even start 2-2 because he's actually not got the armory on time. So, missing out on that. Now, if he looks to fight here, he's going to be able to fight at least with 1-1 against just +2 armor, so that's not bad. He has the Ghost as well to take the EMPs and the shields off of this very shield-focused army. Colossi don't have extended thermal lance just yet. That EMP didn't really help against the Observer because he'd already taken a shot, so the shields had already fallen off. Unfortunate for sure, but nice for ShoWTimE, able to keep that alive, able to pull that away after using it to track this army and keep an idea as to where Q is trying to go to see what moves Q is trying to make happen. ShoWTimE's able to kind of adapt to those and to really make his way around them. Army on the left-hand side is going to go for a bit of a press forward. He's going to sit here. I mean, this is a problem, though. Q's kind of missing his army at home. It's going to become a base trade pretty quickly right now. As ShoWTimE sees it, does he not want a base trade? Because these rocks aren't here, he actually gets back home pretty quick. But now there's an army on the right side. ShoWTimE's preparation on the right. There's zero static defense. It's one of the things that really helped a lot later. Beautiful observer placement, though. ShoWTimE's vision is something to give credit to because it's allowed him to get units peeled over here before any sort of fight can happen. And it's just keeping him very safe. And to be honest, yeah, I kind of, you take a 5th base. I don't see Kira really stopping you from going to 5 bases like he was able to stop Geralt for a little while. And ShoWTimE, again, just playing a pretty, it feels like there's not a lot happening, but there's a lot of movement happening. There's a lot of army positioning, and there's a lot of vision being utilized. And these are all very technical things that are able to keep ShoWTimE in a good position here. This army being here already, he knows this army's still here, so boom, that's defense. He knows this army's going to make a play on the left, so he's not going to move too much over to the right side. I'd be surprised if he goes any further than this. He is. That feels like he's given up an opportunity. So the idea here might be that he wants to collect everything together. He's not immediately concerned about this position. And by collecting everything together, maybe he could make a push onto this base, but he doesn't have these rocks down, so it's not going to be super quick or easy to do. And yeah, now you're going to see this army here as Q. He's actually going to leap onto Colossi. Nice play with the force fields. But does this not just give Q the chance to actually strike on this left side? Okay, a few of these cannons and batteries are all coming up. But is that going to be enough? Well, yeah, it probably will be, because the rest of the units are split back over. Because Q had backed away from this position, it's given ShoWTimE the time he needed to get back over here to defend. So again, a lot of very in-depth army movement happening, and ShoWTimE just seems to be coming out on the better side of it every time, right? Like, he's never been caught off guard. That's actually a huge disruptor shot straight up the center onto the bio units. And does ShoWTimE have enough to just push on top of this base at the moment? He very well might. Another disruptor shot fires through. SCV's in some trouble. I'm going to be seeing 7 workers already down now. This command center is about to fall as well. So that's one of the newer command centers killed off and not even cancelled. Defense continues on the left-hand side, so ShoWTimE is holding handily on the left without any issues. And now he's going to push through. Honestly, the only thing that's really dealing damage here is this siege tank, and that's going to die pretty quick, not going to lie. It took Colossi to do everything else, and ShoWTimE just going to back it up. I mean, you've denied the 3rd base. You don't need to push on forward. The one thing that can go wrong for you now is getting caught with too few units on the right side because you've been defending the left, and then Q can make some army movements to make something happen. So you don't want to let that happen. And ShoWTimE makes his way out down the bottom, and we'll have a force to push on in towards this bottom side, 6 o'clock base. ShoWTimE gonna try and wrap around. Looks like he wants to bring everything together again, so rejoining these 2 armies. He is maxed out. I don't blame him if he wants to try and take a fight. Loses the shields and everything on the Phoenix, so they're just going to be cannon fodder, and they actually just fly back in. Might not be bad to just give up that supply and to free the way for further unit production. We see 7 DTs warped in immediately. Yeah, absolutely. I like those much more than I like the free Phoenix, for sure. Meanwhile, I mean, multiple Stargates coming up with the Fleet Beacons, so ShoWTimE also has the much later game planned out here as well, so that's all known about at this stage. As we've got the DTs moving down left, looking as though they might make a jump onto this base, but a good EMP to start says no. ShoWTimE's back on the right, and he's going to catch Q out of position. That's a dead command center, I think. If the SCVs can repair it, maybe it flies away, but it's not enough, and dead command center. Now ShoWTimE is in a little bit of trouble just because he's backed into up against the wall, right? Is there a way out? It looks like there is. Disruptors kind of give themselves up to help out for a while. Stalkers doing what they can to slow down the Vikings, chasing the Colossi. I know the disruptor shot is denied, but at least makes the army stop for a moment or two. ShoWTimE's army supply is in some trouble as he loses all of the tech units. So he gets a base kill, but Kir really was able to jump on this army. It was just like I say, up against the wall. There was no easy way out. He was kind of cornered in a little bit. Right now, ShoWTimE needs disruptors because he needs to slow this army down. I think disruptors are going to be his best way to do it. He'll lose the top right base. That's still okay for him. You're still holding 5 bases versus 5 bases, and obviously you've been doing damage to this one, so it's kind of actually 4 bases for the Terran. We're engaging in here, needing those frontline zealots to really put in work. There's no batteries here, sorry, there's one battery here, so you've got a single overcharge you can use to maybe help out, and just bring your zealot shields back up that little bit more quickly. ShoWTimE has a huge bank as well, so he is rebuilding quick as well, don't get me wrong. Here we go, diving in again. I feel like you need to let the disruptors catch up just a little bit more before this. Problem is right now the disruptors were so far off, they're never going to catch to get a chance to actually be in range, whereas if you dive when the disruptors are already on your army, it's maybe got a little bit more chance of happening. Probably not if Cure still steps back, but... Okay, ShoWTimE finally chases Cure off, and he's already set on the left-hand side to deal with this. A Stasis Ward actually caught a bunch of bio units, and that could be a huge, huge problem here. I never really realized, but ShoWTimE also has Storm. We haven't even really seen Storms used in this game. And we haven't had any Dead High Templar or anything, so Storm's available to full energy HTs on the left side. You're going to see a few Vikings falling already. It's just becoming a little bit scrappy, but Cure definitely isn't going to have the numbers to keep this up, I don't think. Well handled by ShoWTimE. It was scary when he was losing anything, but the way he was playing the earlier stages of this game just gave him enough of an advantage as a full medevac goes down. Enough of an advantage that really he just had the bank to rebuild, and all he had to do was buy enough time for that bank to come into play. And that's exactly what ShoWTimE was able to make happen at this stage. Well, now Stalker Disruptor comes down the right side of this. Setting up a little bit. Gonna see a Widowmine going off. That's a dead Stalker. Push on through. Zealots are gonna start charging in. Stalker's gonna blink forward, chasing medevacs and everything else. I think you're okay here. The Disruptor count's really good, and there's no flank potential just yet from Cure. He is gonna move up the left side again. There's some Storms to really try and catch an army on the left. That's the main point of defense on the left-hand side, so that's what we're looking at there. Back and forth continues. Another Disruptor shot lands onto the front line of the bio units again. And this Disruptor is going to be taken down as well. So, a couple of Disruptors fallen, but the numbers really do not lie, friends. They really do not lie. It looks as though this is going to be just about enough as ShoWTimE comes through. Ghost going down, bio units are falling, and this looks as though it's just about gonna be it. As Disruptor shots continue to fly on in, Zealots are still charging through, the bio units still dropping down. This looks as though it is going to be ShoWTimE to push through for victory. And as all of these units continue dropping, Cure's maybe going to get a cleanup on these Stalkers, but ShoWTimE's got the bottom side of the map ready to push in as well. Yeah, I mean, this is just going to be a done deal for sure. GG's. And that is going to be it. ShoWTimE is able to take the first game of this best of 3. A beautiful first game, and I really loved it. Very technical Starcraft 2, like I say, a lot of little army movements and stuff like that that really led to this victory. Down a map, in the bottom right-hand side, our Blue Terran player is Cure, who has been absolutely fantastic at giving us great games today. I mean, both his series so far have absolutely delivered, but now down a game. And he's not out if he loses this. He would just have to wait to play in the decider match. This being Series 3 of 5 today, so he would drop down to Series 5 for another chance to advance into the playoffs. He takes on ShoWTimE, our Red Protoss player, to the top left side of the map as we get this set up. Of course, talking about these two in just recent results, I mean, the big tournament we have to talk about naturally is Katowice. ShoWTimE dropping out in the group stages there, as did Cure. Cure had a bit of a better performance. He went 2-3. ShoWTimE went 0-5. I feel like if you put Cure in ShoWTimE's group and ShoWTimE in Cure's group, it's very possible ShoWTimE would have gone 2-3 and Cure would have gone 0-5. You know, like, the groups, I would say, Group D was... None of the groups were easy, don't get me wrong, but Group A was brutal for ShoWTimE in particular, I think. You have to play, like, TY, Maru, Clem, Bjorn, and Solar. Don't get me wrong, here I had to play Rogue, Parting, Stats, Neeb, and Ragnarok, but I actually think I just like the matchups a bit better for ShoWTimE in Group D had he played there. Some less PVTs. Not because his PVT isn't good, just because I feel like his PVC is really good and his PvP is very commendable as well. The other tournament I want to talk about, though, is the WardiTV Winter Championship. Obviously worth mentioning. Our own tournament, right? So that's we actually had the Winter Championship preliminaries And what the Winter Championship preliminaries were basically a kind of like the qualifiers, I guess, but it was like its own tournament. So it's like a $1,200 event or so. Kyo won that, and he looked convincing. He was by far and away, I think, the favorite to win this tournament. But he looked fantastic. He went 4-0, 8-2 in his group. I think he dropped a map to Patience, and I think he dropped a map to Denver. And then he went 3-0 against Skiller, Sound, and Soul to win the tournament. So he is already in the main Winter Championship event. So he will already be there alongside some other players as well. I'm going to be excited to see him play there. So just in case you're interested in more WardiTV events, that one happens in a couple weeks' time. It's going to happen not next weekend, but the weekend after that. So that's the current plan for the WardiTV Winter Championship. Kira's been looking fantastic. Now, ShoWTimE didn't play in the preliminaries for that, but it's very likely that we invite ShoWTimE as one of the top European players. It's very possible he gets an invite into the main event if he wants it, so you might be able to catch another ShoWTimE Kira match there if you don't get another one in the finals of this tournament, because the way they're both playing is not unlikely. As we have a couple of depths coming through this Hellion. There's 2 Hellions going to get on the map to get some information. I just wanted to quickly make a mention to some of the other players who are invited to this tournament as well, guys. I know maybe some of you guys are interested in who else is going to be playing in this. Well, you know what? Actually, I'm going to tell you that a little bit of a teaser. Okay, I'll tell you a couple, but I'll tell you the rest after this game or after this series. But we've got some other confirmed invites for this tournament, including Rogue, Clem, and yeah, I'll tell you the rest of them after the series. But just a little teaser for you guys as to what else we can enjoy this week for the WardiTV resold out number 2. Playing out to the side, this medevac with a few Widow Mines inside of it, going to make its way up through to the top side here. So medevac up the right, the Hellion moving through. The Phoenix is going to go, a couple of them down to the bottom right-hand side. Another Phoenix in production. So a very different approach to this game. Obviously from the Oracle into a single Phoenix last time. This time it's going to be a lot of Phoenix. They're very good at dealing with aggressive openers. So I really like his chances against this Widow Mine drop at Severo. Of course, it still comes down to positioning if the Phoenix aren't in the right place. As the 2 Widow Mines going to go out over to the left-hand side and going to get ready to make a play up into the natural. So sign up for this, getting that ready to go. Hellion is still patrolling out in the center, and the Forge is coming down. Twilight Council as well to follow up. Next is going to go onto these onto this medevac, and now we're going to be seeing this is going to be the shutdown, right? So nicely handled. I like the lift up, right, just to try and confuse things a little bit, and also buys time for this next Widow Mine drop into the main. The Adepts do clean up the Widow Mine here. 1 lift, 2 lifts, 3 lifts, 4 lifts, and he's denied everything. Pure. This is what we call a disaster of an opener, because he's just invested so much into these Widow Mines and so on, and he's got nothing out of them. He built the armory as well for the cloaking. The cloaking never came into play because they never even got burrowed. Right? They never even got a chance to burrow, so what do you do about that? Well, absolutely nothing. Now this Phoenix, now these Phoenix get to kill the medevac. There are a few more probes going down over on the left-hand side, so finally a Widow Mine drop does find some success. Phoenix is going to recall into the main to get back into position here, and okay, 9 workers killed. This one on the high ground. I actually missed this one, I'm not going to lie. I don't blame ShoWTimE for missing it, because I saw the medevac moving up. I thought it had a Widow Mine in, but I was like, oh, it mustn't have done. I completely missed that unload, so he gets 9 probes in the end. Finally, Cure finds some damage, but look at how much investment he had to make. 10 Widow Mines, 3 medevacs, and a Hellion. That's essentially a Widow Mine, a probe per Widow Mine, not even, right? So in general, that's what you expect to see, is like, you know, if you lose like if you get like a Widow Mine, you know, or if you lose a probe per Widow Mine that you take down, that's generally fine as a Protoss. But what's been even better here is that ShoWTimE didn't lose any mining from pulling units away, because the Phoenix were lifting so many of those mines, a lot of them never even fired. So this overall has absolutely been better for ShoWTimE. I think at the extent of the 10 Widow Mines, plus the cost of the armor early in the game, ShoWTimE absolutely has had a wonderful opener at this point. So ShoWTimE, for me, fantastic first 7 minutes, and obviously from now we see the Terran player trying to get up to Stim Combat 1-1 upgrades. See what approach ShoWTimE wants to take. Robo Facility going to finish soon. I imagine we go to the Robo Bay. Obviously, with the Phoenix out, Colossi are generally the go-to initially. I wouldn't imagine you see Disruptors as kind of the initial go-to on this army at all. Widow Mine's just going to go up into this medevac and going to go for the play. Just going to unload them all here. This is actually kind of cute, right? You can kill all the Phoenix if ShoWTimE doesn't pay attention. He's like, ooh, a free medevac. It's one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't work, right? But it works more often than it should. You can see the medevac, what it's trying to do, I think, is trying to sit on top of the Widow Mines to block the vision of them being burrowed. Now he's actually just going to pull it back to the main army, so he's just going to leave these Widow Mines here, leave them as a trap, hoping he can maybe, possibly, get a few free kills. And if not, if nothing flies over them, he's just going to unburrow them and put them into the main army as well anyway, right? Attack comes around the right side. They're both going to take different fourth bases. Q is going to continue to take a very passive set of bases down to the bottom. No forward base for him at all, as ShoWTimE does take that forward base. His odds here are not going to be really well. And this army of ShoWTimE is actually not great against what he's up against, right? There's so many Widow Mines. Phoenix Cell just does not do well here. He just doesn't have the kind of the continued tech to really work against this. You see the Phoenix lifting up whatever they can, and it definitely helps. Only 2 of these Widow Mines ever got to fire, but is there ever actually an army to fight this Bioforce? Man, I gotta say, I loved what happened in the early game for ShoWTimE. The Akira just shows up, Macro Machine just comes in and is like, hello, I've got a lot of units. I'm just gonna come and kill you. And ShoWTime's probably like, god damn, like I defended so well, I killed so much early game. He just didn't have the tech units he needed here, right? The Robo Bay wasn't here in time. I mean, he's now got a Templar Archives. There's no Archons here in time. Not sure Archons would have been the answer, but I think he definitely needed Colossi. Yeah, I guess the tech just a little bit late from ShoWTimE, and to me, I guess that's how this game maybe ends, as Cure looks to possibly push us to a 1-1 scoreline. That's actually kind of crazy. Mostly the Phoenixes are an investment, but I wanted to say the Phoenix paid for themselves. But the problem is the Phoenix just didn't. I don't want to say they did nothing in this fight because they lifted up the mines, but they're not doing any damage in this fight. So it's still kind of a problem, right? That you need something that can deal damage. Zal's going to charge in again. There's just so many Widow Mines. GG. Kira's going to tie it up 1-1. It looked horrible for him, but it was good. The top right-hand side, as we have the blue Terran player tying it up. It is Cure. Great effort from him to make it work. Just really good macro. Kind of made it happen in the end for him. Bottom left, our red Protoss player is ShoWTimE as we get into game 3 of the series. One of those things which is just, you kind of expect this game to go a little bit, you expect this series to have gone a little bit more, I want to say I expected it to go a little bit more in favor of kind of ShoWTimE in that last game, and at this one you've got to kind of rally together a little bit and then make it happen. What will they build? Oh, you'll never have a real fire on Thursdays? Yeah, I know. It's actually stupid. Like, it's so ridiculous how frequently they test it. Like, it completely desensitizes you to fires on Thursdays. Yeah, it's actually, I reckon it's a fire risk. Like, to actually test it every Thursday, because genuinely, if there was a fire on a Thursday, I would not move for probably a minute or so. You know? At least. Reaper coming up through the top side, having a look to see what's going on. Second racks early this time around from Cure. So 2 racks off the start, no factory play, no Widow Mine drops. Making a big change as ShoWTimE will get aggressive as well on this bottom right side, proxying up his Stargates. Into being just a little bit faster on some of the aggression here, just hide it away, make it a little more difficult for Cure to figure out. Bunker going to set up on that natural adept moving forward. A little bit of a delay on the CC, right? STV gets out, adept shaded away already. Of course, we're really watching for this Stargate. Stimpack starts again. Lots of bio units early. There's 3 racks. What I would like the most here from ShoWTimE is if he goes 1 Oracle, maybe 2 Oracles, and then you just get the gateway units up at home to deal with the first 3 racks push. That would be the, I think for me, the ideal way that this plays out. I think ideally that's how you want this to go. We're back up through the center, just going to see the Stargate finishing the Oracle. So let's see how this goes. There's the 2 extra gates that I wanted to see. There's the Twilight Council. I think that's exactly how you want to do this. Just 1 Oracle is fine. I like this a lot. Obviously, ShoWTimE is picking up for the first time information that this is triple racks. And he sees Marines in the main. So he actually doesn't have that much info on it yet. And you can see the Marines doing a really good job of zoning the Oracle. He drops the revelation to confirm what it is, and it is just going to see now the 3 racks. So now you know. I like ShoWTimE's begins this anyway. Like I say, it's not overboard on the Stargate. It's not, the Stargate's not even in like a super close position, so this pylon probably stays alive, so you're not in too much trouble of losing that and having to replace it as well. As our first engineering bay finishes, this is actually a little bit out of sync, right? So there's not going to be an upgrade for this first stim combat shield timing. There will be +1 done for, I don't know if this really lines up with anything. It won't line up with a starport finishing medevacs, still no factory on the way. See a couple of turrets on the way up now, just in case this is DTs on the follow-up to the Oracles, so... Well, I'm sorry, probably not that, right? It's probably actually just Oracle defense. Hudo Wardy. I'm trying to overcomplicate things. I actually think he's just making sure the Oracle doesn't have free access to a mineral line, so ignore me about talking about DTs. I'm getting excited. It's not impossible, right? There could be a Dark Shrine on the way up now as well, so it's kind of like a... It does both, but it's probably primarily for the Oracle is... This is the moment of truth. Does ShoWTimE have enough to defend? The problem is with this army is once it stims, it's low HP. And once that stim ends, this army doesn't heal because there's no medevacs. And so, while it seems terrifying, you're missing a major chunk of this setup to really make it work. So, yeah, you know, missing the medevacs is huge, and these medevacs aren't going to be here forever. So, what do? Do you stim again? If you stim again, these Marines are 35 HP. Marauders are going to be 195. You're not going to have a good time. This is going to be a scan up to kill a Cybercore. That's a pretty cute play, especially as ShoWTimE's in this position where he's about to have Blink, so he kind of does want to build Stalkers. Hey, this is nice though, because now he's got Blink, he's actually going to be able to chase this army down. What do you actually do here as Cure? And he's just going to run. Oh, the force field didn't really catch much. ShoWTimE doesn't chase. I guess he doesn't have the Stalker count to chase. And he's maybe afraid of this next set of units showing up on the 3rd and making sure he has units over here to deal with it. Again, ShoWTimE is very good at this, right? I'm always very excited. I'm like, oh, you can go kill things, and ShoWTimE's like, no. Think about the future. Think about what the next threat may be. And Stasis Ward's a moment too late, unfortunately, is another stim. Force field's available, going to trap this army in a little bit, but is it really trapped in? As Marines make their way into the 3rd as well, ShoWTimE's going to lose his sentries. There's probes running all over the place. Akira is getting a lot done with this, as ShoWTimE, he needs to clean some of this up. He needs to chase on this left side, I think, and actually get some kills, because if he doesn't get this cleanup, I like this, just sitting in the line of sight blocker, going to guarantee 1 more Stalker kill than he wouldn't have gotten otherwise. If you don't get the cleanup, then Cure's really just dealt damage for very little investment. At least now your bio army's not as big as medevacs arrive. That maybe takes away some possibility going into the future here as well. As our Bio Army sets up on the natural expansion. Stalkers cleaning up on the right side with the sentry joining up with them. I'm going to be seeing them joining back together and coming back into the middle of the map. Well, Sentry is just going to finish up and just going to be seeing the Bio Army continue to gather together. And, well, again with Medivacs, obviously there's so many more possibilities now. A, you can actually heal up the army, and B, you can start dropping it around in different places and trying to find some of those openings as well. So that's where we currently stand with this. I'll still sign up. We do see a hallucination. ShoWTimE going to get a few moments to build up here, but as the Robo Bay just starts in the second facility, it still feels like he's going to be on gateway units for just such a long time. Those first two tech units out of the Robo facility really cannot come fast enough right now. He needs them, right? Like, he needs these Colossi or something to power this up, because again, as it stands, the gateway units alone just will probably not do enough. I said sub results and ready to go as well. And the MP goes down. Sentry's going to get hit, so you only have that one force field. Most importantly, no Guardian shield up at the moment. Super Battery doing the work. ShoWTimE's building disruptors. They're going to build that a little bit faster, be effective without the extended thermal lance needed. But is it going to be enough to hold this off? The Bio Army still pressing through. The Zealots in some trouble still as well. Just feels like this is an attack of Kyo that's just going to keep on trading very well. And like I say, I mean, you're waiting on these disruptors basically as ShoWTimE. You're also about to get +1 armor, which will help you survive this as well. But is the damage already done? Is the army disparity already just a little bit too large? Sam cleans out a Widow Mine. Kyo is already off going elsewhere. Finds an Observer, and one of the big things about ShoWTimE's win in Game 1 was the beautiful vision he had of the map to watch Kyo's army. And every time you eliminate some of that vision as Kyo, your life becomes that much easier, right? Your life becomes that much better. Another EMP Immortal, couple Stalkers getting hit, Disruptors continuing up to the left-hand side. He's going to stim in towards that. Disruptor shot fires, doesn't really land on anything just yet. Two more medevacs coming through, still seeing the army of Kyo out on the left, and starting to do this kind of split push thing that we see Kyo do oh so often. And ShoWTimE, again, his position in the game to defend this is not brilliant. He's got 4 disruptors. He's about to have the 2 Colossi coming up, but I will still question no extended thermal lance, right? That just now starts, so you don't have extended thermal lance until realistically you have 4 Colossi here, which, I mean, 4 Colossi would be great, but that's a long way off. First the MP's come down, I'm not even sure this right side is set up to really hold. Super Battery will go down, but on what? A Colossus shows up to the fight? It's just about going to hold this off with a few Zealots warping in as well. Disruptors try and get lucky on the left side. He loses one. The others are just dodged as they all fired at once now as well. So they're all on cooldown for the same amount of time. Big EMP hits the Immortal, and there's just nothing to stop Kyo from attacking into this, right? Again, there wasn't a Colossi over here. The Disruptor's on cooldown. So Kyo can just come into this fight more easily than you might usually expect him to. He's ready to strike on the right side again, and I get the feeling there's not a lot of ShoWTimE out over on the right side. He makes a good chase on the left. He's going to get multiple medevacs. And what we're going to defend with here, a couple more Zealots will win. There's a Widow Mine right up in front, so if nothing else, that's even just providing Kyo a vision of what's here. And ShoWTimE is scrambling to get a defense together. The Bio Army hits the bottom side once again. Disruptor shot flies in. Disruptor gets hit by a mine, doesn't die, but it's low. This Disruptor shot doesn't land either, and that's going to be a dead base on the bottom, right? He's actually fighting well on the left side, don't get me wrong, but you need this base. You just can't lose this Nexus, right, at this stage of the game. And ShoWTimE very much so knows that, and as it looks to go down, ShoWTimE just tops out GG. Kira is going to take it 2-1. Kira our victor, and Kira will advance through to the playoffs of the tournament. So congratulations to Kira winning that out.